Hello everyone. Today we will be learning about full stop. A full stop is also called a period. It is the most basic punctuation mark and is represented by a small dot. The primary function of a full stop is to conclude a sentence, that is, not a question or an exclamation. Now, let us see how and when to use a full stop in a sentence. First rule is we use full stop at the end of a declarative sentence. What do you mean by a declarative sentence? A declarative sentence is a sentence that makes a statement or expresses an opinion and always ends with a full stop. Examples: our solar system contains 8 planets. So, at the end of a declarative sentence, we have placed a full stop. Next, we must respect and be kind to one another. Similarly, here also at the end of a sentence, we have placed the full stop. Third example, there are plenty of stars in the night sky. Again, a full stop at the end of a declarative sentence. The next rule is after abbreviations. What do you mean by abbreviation? Abbreviations are the shortened form of a word. Okay. Some of the examples of abbreviations are example, Mr., Mrs., etc., and so on. Here, the first example is I bought tomatoes, mangoes, eggs, etc. from the grocery shop. See, etc. This is a shortened form of a word. Okay. Therefore, we are placing a full stop after etc. Next, I have to meet her at 9 a.m. Here, am refers to ante-meridiem. That means it is before noon. So that ante-meridiem we are writing in a short form, that is a dot m dot. So here also we are using a full stop, that is a dot m dot. Next example, I like fruit juices. That is the ones that are fresh and not canned. See, that is, which is written in a shortened form as I dot e dot. Okay. In this case also we are using a full stop. Next example, my friend bought many flowers for the exhibition. Example, roses, jasmine, and hibiscus. See, example is an abbreviation. So, in this case also we are using a full stop. It is E dot G dot. Okay. Abbreviations or acronyms can be written with or without full stops. You can either choose to write the abbreviations with full stops or without full stops. As you can see in the bracket, here we have written the shortened form BBC using full stops, B.B.C, which is the shortened form for British Broadcasting Corporation. Or you can write them without full stops. As you can see here, BBC. One thing which you have to remember is do not mix both in your writing. Example, the USA and the UK have signed the agreement. This sentence is correct. The second sentence, it is same, but we have used full stops for acronyms. U dot S dot A dot and the UK U dot K dot have signed the agreement. Now this sentence is also correct. The above sentence without full stops is also correct. The second sentence with full stops for abbreviations or acronyms, you can say that is also correct. But look at the third example. The USA and the UK have signed the agreement. Here, the first USA, for this we have used full stops U dot S dot A dot. But for the UK, we have not used. Okay? So, this sentence is wrong. You I either choose not to use the full stops for abbreviation or choose to use the full stops for abbreviations. But you cannot say that for one abbreviation in a sentence I will use the full stops, and for the next abbreviation or the acronym I'm not going to use the full stop. No. That is in some cases is not acceptable. You have to either choose or do not choose the full stop. Okay? Next, after abbreviations. This is with respect to American English. In American English, full stops are used after the abbreviations for titles. Examples: Mr. Jurel is working hard in the field. So, Mr. is an abbreviation. What are abbreviations? Abbreviations, as I have mentioned in my earlier slides, they are the shortened form of a word. Okay. So, after Mr., we have placed a full stop. Next, Mrs. Richard is a well mannered lady. See, again after Mrs., we have placed a full stop. Third example, the speech given by Professor Rai is inspirational to many students. See, again, Professor. After Professor, we have placed a full stop. In British English, full stops are not used after the abbreviations for titles if the last letter of the contraction is the same as the last letter of the whole word. No, this is different. Okay? See, example: Mr. Kamath is on holiday. Here, after abbreviation, we have not placed the full stop. Why? Because as I have already mentioned here, full stops are not used after the abbreviations for titles if the last letter of the contraction is the same as the last letter of the whole word. What is the last letter of the last letter of the whole word? Mr. It is R. After contraction, what is the last letter? Again R. Both are same. That is why we are not using a full stop after contraction. This is true only for the British English. Okay? Second example, Dr. Suyash will be coming shortly. Again, after doctor, we are not placing the full stop because same, the last letter of the whole word and the after contraction both are same. Third, the lost purse belonged to Mrs. Reena. Again, after Mrs., we are not using a full stop. See, mistress, the last letter of the whole word is S. After contraction, also the last letter is S. That is why we are not using the full stop in this case. Okay, this holds true for the British English. In US English, they do not follow any rules of such kind. Additionally, in British English, full stops are used for abbreviations if the last letter of the contraction is not the same as the last letter of the whole word. See, this is a twist now. Example: Our English class teacher is Professor Edward. This is also British English, and this is an abbreviation. Why are we using a full stop here then? Because, see here, read it again. Full stops are used for abbreviations if the last letter of the contraction is not the same as the last letter of the whole word. What is the last letter of the whole word? Professor. R. After contraction, the last letter is F. Are both the same letters? No, they're different. Only if it is different, we are going to use a full stop. If they are same, then we are not going to use the full stop for abbreviations. Okay? Next example. The ship was guided by Captain Ronaldo. Again, Captain. The whole word. Last letter is N. After contraction, the last letter is T. Both are different. Therefore, we use a full stop for abbreviation in this case. Next rule is, in a sentence, if the quoted words end with a full stop, then always place the full stop inside the quotation marks. Examples: Mrs. Tanuja said, "Don't cut the trees." Here, a full stop goes inside the quotation marks. Second example, Roy said, "Give me my car keys." Here, here also, a full stop goes inside the quotation marks. Third example, Ryan stated, "I will never play with you." Here also, a full stop is placed inside the quotation marks. In American English, the periods are always placed inside the quotation marks, but the rules are different for British English. In British English, the full stop is placed inside the quotation marks if it is a part of the quoted material and is placed outside the quotation marks if it's not a part of the quotation. In other words, the full stop is placed inside the quotation marks if the quoted material forms a complete sentence and can make sense on its own. Otherwise, it goes outside the quotation marks. Examples: She said, "I write it this way." Now, here the sentence inside the quotation marks, that is, "I write it this way," is a complete sentence. Therefore, the full stop goes inside the quotation marks. The next example, he said the movie was not bad. Now, here, not bad is not a complete sentence. Okay. So, it is a part of the full sentence. Therefore, the full stop goes outside the quotation mark because it belongs to the full sentence, not only to the quoted part. Okay. Next rule is after a command. Commands tell someone to do something and are a type of imperative sentence that ends with a full stop. Examples: Finish your dinner. See, it's a command. Therefore, after the sentence, we are placing a full stop. Next, close the window. Again, after the command, we are placing a full stop. Third example, go to sleep. So, after a command, we are placing a full stop. Now, the next rule is after an indirect question. So, what do you mean by an indirect question? An indirect question is a formal way of asking a question that typically ends with a period, not a question mark. Whereas a direct question is a straightforward inquiry that ends with a question mark. Now, let us see some examples. First, where is my pen? Now, this is the example for direct question. So, in direct question, we use a question mark after the end of a sentence, that is, where is my pen? Okay. Next example, I want to know where my pen is. Now, this is not a direct question, it is an indirect question. So, instead of a question mark, we place a full stop. Second example, did you finish your homework? Again, this is a direct question. So we place a question mark. Now, see the next one. I was wondering if you finished your homework. Now, this is an indirect question. So, we place a full stop at the end of a sentence, not a question mark. Third, where is the library? Similarly, here also we place a question mark because it is a direct question. Next, I wonder where the library is. Now, again, this is an indirect question. So, we place a full stop at the end of a sentence. We do not place a question mark. This is an indirect question. So, we are placing a full stop at the end of a sentence. Now, let us see the next point, inside or outside the bracket. The full stop or a period goes inside the bracketed text if it is a complete sentence. If the bracketed text is a part of a sentence, then it goes outside the bracket. Examples: I love the new movie. The actors were awesome. See, these two are independent sentence. Okay, I love the new movie. Now, this is a complete sentence. Therefore, we place a full stop at the end of the first sentence. See, the extra information is given inside the bracket. That is, the actors were awesome. Now, this is also a complete sentence. Okay, therefore, we place a full stop inside the bracket. Okay, now see the second one here. I love the new movie inside the bracket and the actors were awesome. Okay, see here we place a full stop outside the bracket, not inside the bracket, because I love the new movie and the actors were awesome. Both are connected. Okay, no, and the actors were awesome is a continuation of the first sentence. Okay, and the sentence inside the bracket is not a complete sentence. Therefore, we place a full stop after the bracket. Next example, I will meet you at the weekend. My weekday schedule is tight. Here again we have two complete sentence. First is I will meet you at the weekend is a first complete sentence. Therefore we place a full stop after the sentence. Now inside the bracket, that is the extra information which is given, is also a complete sentence. Therefore a full stop is placed inside the bracket since it is a complete sentence. Next, I will meet you at the weekend since my weekday schedule is tight. See, here these two are not complete sentences. Okay, these two are this the sentence inside the bracket is a continuation of the first part of the sentence. Okay, therefore the full stop is placed at the end of a sorry outside the bracket. Next rule is in numbers. Periods are used in numbers to separate the whole number from a decimal, and it is called a decimal point. Example: the gold price increased by 2.1% last year. Now, here 2.1, this point is called a decimal point, which is a full stop. Second example, the stock market crashed by 4.5% this month. Again, 4.5%, the point is a decimal point, which is a full stop. Third example, the company made a huge profit of 10.5% last month. Here also, 10.5% point is a decimal point, which is a full stop. Okay, this is it for now. Thank you all for your time and patience. And if you like my channel, please subscribe and like my channel. Bye for now.